that's not good. I'll do your thing, but I'm not wasting a slot by putting an A where I know it doesn't go.
And
I'm running out of words in the world. Maybe it's another one of those Italian words.
only time will tell.
I know.
All right, that. I have to have so much restraint. It's not just a clean.
I no, don't. And no, I know you're not gonna, but like it's. I'm just trying to find a word. You know what I'm saying? Like I can't
Yeah.
even come up with a word that I can make
I
use
feel that pain.
use the A somewhere other than where it is, and then 4 other letters that I haven't used at all. That's what I'm trying to do, and that's not easy, especially because I need an extra vowel. What if I go?
I'd like to buy a vowel, please.
I could. Oh, that's just a waste.
Information is never wasted. It's all set and set.
Oh, okay. I'm just. Oh, I hate. Oh no, I can't use 2 of the same letter. Oh.
Oh.
Well, I'm gonna punch this word in the face when I figure out what it is.
You just might.
Oh. No. No, it couldn't be. No. That's not a one. That's not going anywhere.
I'll come back to say hi to her at the beginning. Afterwards, usually announce her meeting, so just let you know. You can come back and get her over so you can.
I can walk her over. I can walk her over, Tammy, as long as I get Wordle. All right. Oh, I hate that I'm doing it. I hate that I'm using that T. I figured that the A either started it or ended it. Fudge. Okay. Oh, no, 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 no. want me to punch this word?
Hello. I thought I was coming to hang for a second.
Absolutely.
Just to say hello in the beginning. What's different? Is this
It's look at you, trained
like,
observer
all
that
of a
you
sudden I'm
are.
like something's different right here. Yeah,
It
lots.
is. Everything is the same, but it's just rearranged.
Oh, okay. I'm like something doesn't. I guess I also haven't sat here in a long time
Right,
either.
so it's slightly shifted over,
Okay, got it. All right.
and then we just flip flop some stuff
Okay,
and move that thing to there.
gotcha. Okay. I wasn't losing my mind. It actually was something different.
Yes, and Becky is currently stressing over the word.
I'm
Over the way.
wordling and it's
Oh, Wordle.
pissing me off today. I'm gonna punch this word.
You know, I don't Wordle, but there's another. I can even after my nephew got me into this other game. That is, it's like you connect. It's like some really lame name, like
Connections.
connections.
Is it the
like
four
the words?
terms?
The four. Yeah.
That one I punch in the face too. My longest streak with that is only like 13 in a row because sometimes I want to punch that thing.
Well, and sometimes it's like I get to the point like, oh, I'm on a roll, and then like the most obvious thing happens, and I'm like, oh, I didn't see that at all.
Right.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, and then the other one that they have is, I'll tell you what it is. Yeah, connections I haven't even gotten to today because I haven't gotten Wordle yet. I'm only on a 2-day streak for connections right now. Strands.
Oh, I don't know.
Strands
I don't need
is
any more though.
no, this one. Yeah, no, this is what I do. This is what I do when I wake up in the morning. So like it gives you a subject like the name of the game, and then they're all connected words, and then one of them will go all the way across or all the way down. That gives you a like other than the umbrella, it tightens it up a little bit, and then all the words like it would be like
Oh, okay.
you know, I wish I could remember what some of them are. Name of the game, like it could be game, but it could be video games. It could be.
Oh, I see. I see. What about you? Are you wanting no games too? Do you have any on your phone? No.
I just do Wordle and I don't have the app.
Yeah, I did Wordle like one time. It didn't take with me, which is fine. I also have a really old app called Lumosity, which is like a brain game, and there's like it has multiple games in it, but there's like only one that I really like called Train of Thought. It's built in like a video game, like it's like, and I got to the maximum level on that, but I just keep playing it anyway because I like it. So it's good for my brain. I figured.
Yeah, no.
It can hurt.
I'm gonna punch Wordle in the face today.
It's fine.
When I get it, am I gonna want to punch myself in the face, or is it like really like they were pushing it this time, right?
I think it'll be the second one.
They were pushing it. Okay.
I see Lumosity. One has a little brain, so you can show you.
Oh yeah, they used to advertise
It's an
that on TV.
old one, but I somehow got grandfathered in. I never paid for it, like
Oh,
because they have you can always get the advanced stuff. But I'm like, I'm good because every day it was different games.
Well,
so.
and also like even if it was to repeat, you forget.
Right. See, there's Train of Thought. That's my favorite game right there. It's like a silly little thing, but it's really hard because you have to like they start coming faster. It's all about shifting the track to connect to the thing, and you have to like flip it 3 things at one time, and it's good on your brain. It does help. Yeah, the rest are like okay. They have like some word games in there too, but I'm just double checking. I know it's like 2 after, and she will probably use the whole time. Let me just make sure. So you know what? I wonder if she's calling Jason's number instead of yours. That's what I just realized on the calendar. I think it still had Jason's number. It just occurred to me.
I might go
I can go look for.
look around.
I know.
I just realized
Yeah,
that.
that's a good point.
Good point. Good point. No worries. I mean, oh. Oh. 'Cause, 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 And I'll be watching from afar. Thank you so much for catching when I did redid the animation, that one weird arrow. Thank you for catching. Among other things. Yes.
And I'll walk Tammy, I'll escort her to your office.
Perfect. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I am not in any rush. I don't know what your schedule is. I have no rush or any obligations with my daughter today.
Okay,
So if you
that's
want to
good.
come, we can like have a little more leisure time.
Okay, for sure.
All right.
Okay,
Have fun.
thank you.
Okay, bye.
Like you said, I'm Isaiah. I'll be your videographer
Hi,
today.
Zach.
Yep.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you as well. So.
You know,
We have a fight with my hair.
we do. That's what I'm here to help. I'm here to fight with it for you.
You're here to fix my hair?
Yeah. So we have 2 regular lectures and your orientation today.
Yeah.
What order are we going in?
Orientation.
Orientation first? All right, we can keep all our energy.
Yeah, hopefully, and then
We
we
can
will
do it in a
bring.
different order.
No, I just want to make sure so we know.
My water.
You're I review a lot of the material beforehand to see if I catch anything.
Uh-huh.
And like yours was one of there on occasion, like your biography, you're so interesting. Like you're very, very impressive. I want to tell you that I find you
I'm nothing like other people.
Oh my, well, maybe I don't know. You're pretty impressive, I must say.
Okay,
I must
thank
say it was a pleasure.
Okay. I remember last week when we had that issue, remember, with the first part of the lecture being from one module and then the other.
Oh yeah.
And then it was the wrong first slide. It was on the,
Oh.
but that's okay. I think that is easy to change.
Oh yeah. You commented on it after you saw it. Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah.
easy enough. We have it recorded. The editors can work magic.
Yep.
Isaiah is also one of the editors, and
So I say sometimes when I'm speaking and if I realize I made a mistake, sometimes I stop and then I start over again.
That's fine.
Is that okay with
Yeah,
you? Okay.
absolutely.
Because I think Jason was used to me doing that.
yeah.
Not
Our videographers. They're all very good. They're all different. Like every time I work with them, I'm like, oh, they're my favorite, and then I work with them, I'm like, no, they're my favorite. Like
No.
they are all so good, and they're
I
slightly
know.
different, but it's really it's interesting. So.
Mm.
And we're going to fight with your hair,
I know.
and you're going to introduce yourself to your students, and they're going to be wowed by you, which is going to be
No,
awesome.
they're gonna say, "Oh my God, this lady
Yes,
again.
her.
Why is it her?"
They're not going to say
Then you
that.
go to the supermarket and you see people start smiling at you,
And you're like, why do they know me?
and then you're like, "I'm sure they are my students."
Well, they're from the same thing too. They're probably like, why do I know her? Because out of context, you're look familiar,
Yeah.
but where do I know you from?
Yeah,
Oh.
that happens to me with everybody.
Yeah, I would
actually.
imagine.
Oh my God.
Yeah, oh your God. He's my God too, I'm gonna get this hair.
Oh, gee.
I'll save it for you for later.
I'm losing so much hair. Okay, I should have dyed my hair. Okay, you play with it. Your time.
No, you're doing great. You're doing great. It's beautiful.
She's my personal hairdresser.
Oh, absolutely. She does great work.
It's beautiful. If my natural curl curled as evenly as yours does, I would keep it, but it does not. Alas, it does not.
All right.
Okay. And the necklace is nice and even.
All right. At least they will know I use different necklaces.
They
Even
will.
when the same shirt is usually there.
No, you're not wearing this. This isn't the same shirt, is it?
Well, last time, no.
No, you just
But-
wear black, right?
But I've used this before.
Well, you're allowed to repeat your clothes.
Yeah. But I will be as similar to Jason as I can be. So if you pause and correct, that's totally fine. If I notice anything, I'll let you know, and then
Okay.
we'll just do a pickup. Not a
Yeah.
problem. I'll do the same counting. You can start with 5, 4, 3, and then 2 and 1 in your head. Nice and simple.
Okay.
Any questions?
No, not for now.
All right. Perfect.
Okay.
If you need anything at any point, just let me know, and I'm happy to help.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
See, very nice. They're all so nice. And then you have to work with me. But you have wonderful Tammy, too. right.
All right. All right. How does the font size look?
That's good.
All right.
I can read it and all.
Perfect. If at any point you change your mind, I'm happy to make it
Yeah.
larger or smaller.
I'm going back in. Going back in. I'm going back in. Going back in. I'm going to try to balance your hair a little bit more here. So it's Yes, I'm very happy with that. Very happy. Very happy. It's a work of art. It's a little work of art.
All right, if I can just have you read those first two lines for me so I can get an audio check.
Okay, so it's hi everybody. My name is Graciela Lorca, and I will be your instructor for MCB 4422 and MCB 6424.
All right.
Oh, this is 2 courses? Ish?
It's
kinda?
a graduate and undergraduate level.
Gotcha. So if you're the graduate student, you have more requirements or something
Yes,
potentially. I got you.
exactly. They have an extra work that is worth about 20% to 30% of the grade. So that's the difference. So their tests are worth less, their midterms. So that accounts
Interesting.
for the difference. yeah.
Interesting. Do
I
you,
think it's
do you have
my-
undergrads that you find that you prefer to your grad students?
I prefer my grad students because the undergraduates are all pre-meds and they are all just whining machines. They wonder why they can't get an A. I'm like,
Oh,
because
no, grade grubbing.
maybe you are not an A student.
Yeah. No, but I've always gotten nothing. I've never not gotten A's, so I have to keep getting them.
Exactly. That's
No.
the biggest issue.
You
You're
ever
the
have parents call?
well, a long time ago when I was teaching general micro, and I just,
Isn't that crazy?
well, FERPA rules, right? I can talk to them. And I direct them to my chair. End of the problem.
Is it?
I think that's weird.
Okay. Okay. I'm gonna stop. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click back to the title slide
Okay.
and take you off screen. I will make sure I'm ready to record. Hold on. Right. All right. And we will. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start the recording. We'll leave it a few seconds on this slide just so that the editor knows what they're editing. And let's make sure that clicker is working if you want to click to the next slide for me. And I'll put you on screen. Fantastic. I'm going to come do our color check.
Mm-hmm.
Microbiome. All right.
You look great.
Thank you.
All right. And let me know when you're feeling ready, and I'll count us in.
I'm good.
All right. Then with a nice big smile, you can start after 5, 4, 3.
Hi, everybody. My name is Graciela Lorca, and I will be your instructor for MCB 4422 and MCB 6424. I want to welcome you to the fascinating world of beneficial microbes. From the beginning of my career, I have been interested in the understanding of the interaction of microorganisms between them, as well as the impact of these microbes have on the host where they reside. Moreover, I'm interested in identifying environmental and chemical cues to be able to manipulate these interactions. First, I want to tell you about my scientific journey. I graduated with a licentiate in genetics from the University of Misiones in Argentina. My undergraduate thesis was on the genetic determinants of bile salt modifications in a probiotic called Lactobacillus acidophilus. From there, I moved across the country where I completed my PhD in Cerela. That is a research center that specializes in lactic acid bacteria in Argentina. During my PhD, I had the opportunity to travel and do some of my experiments in Spain as well as in Sweden at Lund University. I came to the US for my first postdoc at the University of California, San Diego. I performed research in gene regulation, and I was part of the first countrywide effort in genome annotation of 9 lactic acid bacteria. From there, I moved to the University of Toronto for my second postdoc, where I was able to combine the genomic tools with the structural biology. Lastly, I came back to the US to join the University of Florida, and I have been at the Department of Microbiology and Cell Science since 2007. In my lab, our research is centered around the study of a probiotic bacteria called Lactobacillus johnsoni N62. I personally isolated this strain during our initial discovery work in rodent models that did not develop autoimmune diabetes type 1. The main topics of research in my lab are the discovery of the impact of probiotics on different diseases. For those diseases where we observe an impact, we want to understand the mechanism of action and the bacterial components that are involved. And we also want to be able to translate our laboratory investigation into a therapeutic product that can be administered to people. To be able to get to that point, we perform different types of clinical trials to test the safety and efficacy of the probiotic. When I designed this course, I wanted to be able to train students on the different facets of microorganisms used as probiotics. I wanted to provide the microbiological background that will allow any of you to be able to translate laboratory findings into therapeutic products. I will also raise awareness on the impact of the lactic acid bacteria that have in the elaboration of food products that you consume every day. In this course, we will cover the use of microorganisms to promote health status in the animals and in the human host. This course will provide conceptual background in microbiology and immunology. This approach will allow students to understand why these microorganisms are used for the prevention or treatment of animal and human diseases. It is expected that after the completion of this course, you will be able to define the terms probiotic and live biotherapeutic product, compare and contrast the use of lactic acid bacteria, bifidobacterium, and propionibacterium as probiotics, describe the range of proposed probiotics and the challenges in ensuring their safety and efficacy, compare and contrast the mechanisms used by probiotic microorganisms to modulate the host immune responses in the animal and in the human host, list the proposed uses of probiotic microorganisms for the prevention and treatment of animal and human diseases, to compare and contrast the applications of prebiotics, probiotics, live biotherapeutic products, postbiotics, and symbiotics, and finally, to discuss current research efforts and proposed application of probiotics for animal and human health. This course is divided into 5 units. Each unit contains several modules with different concentration areas. Unit 1 has several modules where you will learn about definition of probiotics, its history, as well as the classification and morphological characteristics of microorganisms used as probiotics. In Unit 2, we will discuss the uses of lactic acid bacteria in a variety of biotechnological applications. In Unit 3, we will dive into interaction of probiotics with the immune system, as well as the bacterial components that mediate these effects. In Unit 4, the proposed uses of probiotics and live biotherapeutic products for the prevention and treatment of diseases will be In Unit 4, the proposed uses of probiotics and live biotherapeutic products for the prevention and treatment of diseases will be discussed. In Unit 5, we will explore the interactions of probiotics with the microbiome, the use of diet-derived molecules to enhance their survival in the gut, as well as new and upcoming areas of research in probiotics. The course organization is similar to both MCB4422 and MCB6424. The content of each module will be delivered in pre-recorded lectures. The assessment of each module will be done through a variety of activities, either at module or at unit level. Midterms will allow to assess if you are successful at achieving the objectives listed on each module and in the course. At the end of this course, if you're not happy with the grades obtained during the midterms, you can take advantage of taking a cumulative final during finals week. This optional final grade will replace the lowest grade obtained in any of the midterms. However, you can't miss any midterms. In other words, you can only access the optional final if you had taken the midterms already. Students taking 6424 will additionally Students taking 6424 will additionally have to complete a research paper. It is highly recommended that the students start working on this paper in advance. All the topics that will be covered in this class have been summarized from current peer-reviewed research papers. As a result, textbooks are not required. All the information that you need to succeed in the assessments for the course is provided in the lectures. The sources used for the development of the lectures are provided as web links. Taking a course online can be a lot of fun. Here are some tips that will help you get the most out of this course while taking full advantage of the online format. Schedule class time for yourself, just if you were in the classroom. It is important to do the coursework in time each week. You will receive a reduction of points for work that is turned in late. Do your work well before the due date. This approach will help you to avoid the stress if unexpected errors come up during submissions. The same applies for test dates. The window for the tests will be over 2 days. Do not wait until the last minute to start. There are several ways to communicate with me. Take advantage of the discussion boards. I'll check them every day. It also allows for other students that know the answer to respond quickly. I also make sure that the correct information is propagated on this venue. These discussion boards are divided by units to make it easier to find the answers. I also hold live office hours every week. These sessions will be available every week through Zoom in Canvas. To participate, simply go to the Zoom conferences on the left of the screen and join. No appointment is needed. In the event that you have a conflict with the office hours, you can request an appointment. Send your request by Canvas email with 3 suggested times, and I will choose one for us to meet. Always communicate with me through Canvas emails to ensure that I will receive them. Emails to my UFL account may be used for an emergency. Be mindful when using my UFL account address that some emails coming from some servers are blocked by the UFL system or may be directed to the spam box. Lastly, please read the syllabus in detail and feel free to reach out if you have any concerns.
How about that?
Ta-da!
Ta-da! How about that? You're on quite the run there too.
Well, I was trying to read fast. Sometimes I record the lectures and I can see I'm losing energy and then it becomes so slow.
Yeah. It's weird for me when I peer review them. Sometimes if I'm asked to look at them, I'm told that I'm wrong, but I feel like when I'm reviewing them at normal speed, they all sound like they're dragging to me. They really do. And I'm like, I'm in the studio, because you don't sound like you're dragging to me at all now. But when I review it, if you sound like you're dragging, I'm going to punch myself in the face.
No, but it happens, right? After the first lecture, second into third, you are tired.
That's a very good point. Yeah, and you have a lot of information. So I find that fascinating too. So they don't need textbooks. Everything's in the lectures and all gathered from peer-reviewed.
Yeah.
That's.
There are some books, but none of them cover everything.
Right.
And information changes. This is an evolving
Sure.
field. So I think it's a waste for the students.
So this course just redevelops for you.
I'm redoing everything. So that's why it's not like I'm just making it pretty.
Right. Now, well, but you are. So do you teach the same course in person as well?
No,
Just online?
it's only online. I never had this one in person. I used to teach in person when I was doing a general micro.
Okay.
But since I started this one, it's always been online.
Interesting.
Yeah, but students complain, but nobody shows up in person.
Right.
Maybe two will show up if
Do
you do.
and how big is your cohort of grad students?
We have an online master.
But how many research papers do you have to grade every a term for this?
To grade?
Yeah.
Well, right now I have 150 students. The graduates depends. Some years I have 50, some years I have 100.
Man alive. And the research papers are how long?
8, 10 pages.
Okay. Still, man alive.
It's a lot of
Yeah,
grading.
no, that's
Yep.
I don't know how you can do that.
Well, the problem is now with ChatGPT is very
Sure.
challenging to do assignments for students. Very challenging. So because we cannot even grade their writing skills anymore. So anyway, but it's done. It's just not the best way.
And do you use like a turnitin.com or something to check the work
Yes.
for authenticity?
But it doesn't matter because what you catch are the students who are actually doing their own work.
Interesting.
Because the ones who are using ChatGPT, then you don't see it.
Right, because it's seeming as
Mm.
opposed to somebody who's using a lot of sources and things like that. That's catching a lot of it.
Yeah.
Really, it's fascinating, huh?
Yeah. And it's frustrating at UF level. They just don't seem to care.
Oh,
So for us it's frustrating.
yeah, no, I mean, I a year and a half ago, I was in the teaching in the classroom as a theater teacher, a theater educator, but I was also teaching theory of knowledge for IB. And, those are the kids that are here now. And I left, last year was the first year I didn't have the course, and they threw 12 seniors out at the end for their extended essay using ChatGPT.
But you can catch them.
Well,
It's no way
they-
to prove it.
They were caught at this level. They were caught, but they had to self-report to the universities that had already accepted them.
Oh wow.
If you're going to cheat on your 4,000 word extended essay, you're not going to call the University of Florida and say, by the way, I cheated.
Of course not. But you
So-
know what? My son is an English major. And some students on his class that are graduate students, they don't even read all the books that they are required. They just process them through AI. And they are English majors. That's what he tells me. And he's so frustrated because he's the type of kid that he will never do that type of thing.
Oh,
Anyway.
okay. I'm going to shut up.
Okay.
All right, feeling ready?
Now that we've wasted all your energy on that and you have 2 lectures to get through.
Oh, these are 2 long lectures. So one not this.
Yeah, that was very clean. I mean, that was minimal stopping. So keep that energy up. We got this.
All right. Okay.
All right, then you can start with that nice big smile after 5, 4, 3.
Hi, everybody. As we have been discussing in previous modules, lactic acid bacteria are well known to be beneficial for food production, and as probiotics, they have relevant. You see, now they are relevant for many.
No worries, no worries. We'll take it again.
I know this one we have to start.
Not a problem. All right, let me know when you're ready.
Hi, everybody. As we have been discussing in previous modules, lactic acid bacteria are well known to be beneficial for food production, and as probiotics, they are relevant for many aspects of health. However, their potential as cell factories for the chemical industry, as well as for the production of other bioactive chemicals, is also emerging. It is expected that at the end of this module, You will be able to list the characteristics of lactic acid bacteria that makes them suitable as cell factories, define nutraceuticals and bioactive molecules, enumerate the bioactive molecules that can be produced by lactic acid bacteria, and list the commodity chemicals produced by lactic acid bacteria. Using generally recognized as safe, also known as GRAS, microorganisms for production of chemicals and other bioactive molecules also offers several advantages. The first one is safety. GRAS microorganisms have a long history of safety use in food and fermentation, minimizing the risk of harmful effects on human health and the environment. Regulatory ease. The GRAS status can simplify regulatory approval processes for products derived from these microorganisms, potentially facilitating faster market entry. Sustainability. GRAS microorganisms often utilize renewable resources and can be cultivated under eco-friendly conditions, contributing to sustainable production practices. Cost effectiveness. Many GRAS microorganisms are robust and easy to culture, reducing production costs and increasing efficiency in chemical manufacturing. These microorganisms have diverse metabolic pathways. Their unique metabolic capabilities allow for the production of a wide range of valuable chemicals, including biofuels, enzymes, and bioplastics. Consumer acceptance. Since these microorganisms are generally recognized as safe and are familiar to the public, the products derived from them enjoy higher consumer acceptance. Lactic acid bacteria are increasingly recognized as effective cell factories for biotechnological applications. These microorganisms possess unique metabolic pathways that allow them to convert various substrates into valuable products, making them ideal for producing a wide range of biochemicals. Here are some of key aspects of LAB as cell factories. As generally recognized as safe GRAS microorganisms, LAB are well suited for food-related applications, ensuring consumer safety and regulatory compliance. Because of the GRAS status, I think I missed the clickers. Where am I?
Let's see. So if we do
I'm lost. I'm sorry.
so I'm just gonna, as generally recognized as safe. So if we start here,
Okay, so do you want to? I can start
so
it.
if we started here, then we got to
Okay.
capability of, okay, so that's just, so if we want to start, we can start as generally recognized, and then I'll have you just, I think this is good for what the
Okay.
slide is at, and then we can start as generally.
Okay.
I'll count us in real quick in a second. Let me just make a note. And this will be a pickup. And let me know when you're ready.
Okay.
All right. You can start after 5, 4, 3.
As generally recognized as safe organisms, LAB are well suited for food-related applications, ensuring consumer safety and regulatory compliance. Because of the GRAS status, they also have the capability of directly applying their metabolites in food products. Advances in genetic engineering techniques enable the modification of LAB strains to enhance their production capabilities, allowing for the synthesis of desired metabolites at higher yields. LAB can ferment carbohydrates and other organic substrate into lactic acid, ethanol, and other metabolites which are valuable in food, pharmaceuticals, and biofuels. LAB can utilize inexpensive and renewable substrates, contributing to environmentally friendly production processes. Their fermentation capabilities also help in waste valorization. Before we move on to the molecules that are produced by this group of organisms, I would like to clarify some differences in the definitions between nutraceuticals and bioactive compounds. These concepts, as others, have evolved over time. In other words, depending on the year of the scientific publication that you read, the words nutraceutical and bioactive molecules were used as synonyms. Now there are more clear differences. By definition, a nutraceutical is a food or a component of a food that provides medical or health benefits, including the prevention or cure disease. These substances have both nutritional and therapeutic agents, bridging the gap between nutrition and pharmaceuticals. These types of compounds can include a wide range of products like dietary supplements, functional foods, or fortified foods. A bioactive molecule is a compound that has an effect on living organisms, tissues, or cells. These molecules can influence biological processes and may contribute to health benefits, but are not necessarily derived from food sources. The context. Bioactive molecules can be found in foods, but also in pharmaceuticals, herbal products, and other substances. They may be studied for their mechanism of action and health effect in isolation or as part of a whole food. Examples are flavonoids, polyphenols, certain peptides, and fatty acids found in various plants or animals. In summary, the main differences between nutraceuticals and bioactive molecules are the scope. Nutraceuticals refer to specific food-related products with health benefits, while bioactive molecules can come from various sources and are defined by their biological activity. The application. Nutritionals. Wait. The application. Nutraceuticals are often consumed for specific health claims, whereas bioactive molecules can be studied for their effects in various biological contexts, not limited to dietary use.
We can just start at regulation.
Regulation, okay.
I think you might have
Click twice, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
note. All right. So what I'll do is I'll count us in, and I'll have you start with the click, and
Okay.
then say regulation. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
All right. Then you can start after 5, 4, 3.
Regulation. Nutraceuticals may be subject to specific regulatory standards as food products, while bioactive molecules may be studied in research settings for their potential health effects and may follow a drug regulatory path. Lactic acid bacteria, as cell factories, produce three main types of compounds: bioactive molecules, commodity chemicals, and exopolysaccharides. As we have already discussed the production and uses of exopolysaccharides, in this module, we will focus on the first two categories. Polyols, or low-calorie sugars, are non-cyclic sugar alcohols that occur naturally in fruits and vegetables. These compounds are low-energy, non-metabolizable sweeteners and have no effect on insulin levels, making them suitable for dietetic or diabetic food products. Polyols such as mannitol, sorbitol, erythritol, and xylitol are used as sugar substitutes in food industries because of their flavor and sweetness. Furthermore, because of their interesting physicochemical properties, polyols can be used as color stabilizers, texturing agents, softeners, and humectants. The use of lactic acid bacteria for the biotechnological production of polyols has been explored as a replacement for the current industrial production. Only mannitol and erythritol are naturally produced by LABs. Short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs, such as acetate, butyrate, and propionate, are produced due to the fermentation of dietary carbohydrates that are not digested by the host in the small intestines. Lactate is the common short-chain hydroxyl fatty acid in the intestinal lumen. is produced by several microbiota components, including lactic acid bacteria. Subsequently, a subgroup of lactate fermenting bacterial species in the colon can convert them to other short chain fatty acids, including butyrate. Short chain fatty acids have beneficial health effects on the host, particularly in reducing the risk of some disorders, which includes cardiovascular diseases, irritable bowel syndrome, inflammatory bowel syndrome. Sorry. Short chain fatty acids have beneficial health effects in the host, particularly in reducing the risk of some disorders. Those include cardiovascular disease, irritable bowel syndrome or IBS, inflammatory bowel disease or IBD, and cancer. Conjugated linoleic acid or CLA consists of geometric and positional isomers of octadecadenoic acid having conjugated double bonds. These long-chain fatty acids have been shown beneficial for those suffering of metabolic and cardiovascular diseases due to its anti-antitherogenic and anti-inflammatory properties. Despite the fact that it is a natural component of milk, the amount taken through food is far insufficient to provide the necessary beneficial effects. Hence, improving CLA concentration in dairy food products through fermentation, with particular LABs, offers a promising alternative. Many lactobacillus, streptococcus, bifidobacterium, and propionibacterium can perform this conversion. Bioactive peptides are defined as food-derived components that, in addition to their nutritional value, exert beneficial physiological effects in the body. While several beneficial activities have been reported, such as anti-hypertensive, antimicrobial, antithrombotic, immunomodulatory, and antioxidant activities, the antihypertensive activity of some bioactive peptides generated by LABs have been extensively reported. In example, Calbis TM is a milk product marketed in Japan that is antihypertensive property. That didn't come out right. In example, Calbis is a milk product marketed in Japan that has antihypertensive properties. It contains peptides produced from kappa-casein and beta-casein by fermenting skim milk with Lactobacillus helveticus and Saccharomyces cerevisiae. Milk-borne bioactive peptides are recognized as crucial components for health-promoting functional foods because of their These longs are very long. These sentences are very long. Why I don't.
Some of these words are not real words. You're just making words up. It seems like I don't know how you are saying all these incredibly these are 7 and 8 syllable words back to back to back to back, and you're doing it so beautifully. You're blowing my mind right now.
Well, I know
tired. You know the words, but they're a mouthful. Like in these sentences, you're doing such a beautiful job.
Okay, let's go with it.
So, do you want to start at the top of slide 14?
Yes, please.
And you can start after 5, 4, 3.
Milk-borne bioactive peptides are recognized as crucial components for health-promoting functional foods because of their physicochemical and physiological versatility. Bioactive peptides can be generated in vivo from the parental protein by proteolysis using gastrointestinal digestion. In this process, both the host digestive enzymes and the microbiota play a role in the process. Bioactive peptides are also generated in vitro by both starter and non-starter bacteria, especially using LABs such as lactobacilli, lactococci, and streptococci for the preparation of fermented dairy products due to the complex proteolytic system. Strains of Lactobacillus helveticus, Lactobacillus delbrueckii, and Lactococcus lactis are frequently used to generate bioactive peptides from milk. The use of LAB fermentation to produce a wide range of bioactive peptides in functional foods is a promising strategy. Many bioactive peptides derived from milk have multifunctional properties. Specific peptide sequences may have two or more biological functions. This figure summarizes the process by which these peptides may be generated. The proteolytic step that generates these short peptides can be performed in vitro during food processing, such as yogurt fermentation or during cheese maturation. This can also be performed in vivo by proteolytic enzymes from the host or from the microbiota. The next bioactive molecule is gamma-aminobutyric acid, or GABA. GABA is a non-protein amino acid with 4 carbons. GABA biosynthesis is a one-step process in which glutamate decarboxylase enzyme, or GAD, catalyzes the irreversible decarboxylation of L-glutamate to produce gamma-aminobutyric acid. GABA is widely distributed among microorganisms, plants, and animals. GABA is a potent neurotransmitter in the central nervous system. It has been shown that the consumption of GABA-enriched food can suppress cancer cell proliferation, help in reducing pain and anxiety, and also can regulate lipid levels in blood. The use of GABA-producing lactic acid bacteria provides a promising alternative and economically feasible technique to enhance the concentration of GABA in fermented food products. However, major challenges in GABA production using LAB is the yield of GABA during controlled fermentation. Many strains of Lactobacillus brevis, Lactococcus lactis, Lactobacillus paracasei, L. buchneri, L. helveticus, and L. plantarum are able to synthesize GABA. It has been proposed that cheese is an excellent vehicle for GABA as milk caseins contain a high concentration of L-glutamate, around 17.5% of the total amino acid content, which is released during the process of cheese ripening. This amino acid can be metabolized to GABA by the action of LAB, resulting in a GABA-enriched cheese. Vitamins are essential micronutrients for the metabolism of living organisms. Food fermentation with LABs can enhance the nutritional value of food products. While many strains of lactic acid bacteria can synthesize these vitamins, their release from the cells is questionable. Some microorganisms that can produce them are, in example, Lactobacillus rotari have been reported to produce vitamin B12 or cobalamin. Vitamin B2 or riboflavin can be made by several species of Lactobacillus. Vitamin B11 or folate can be made by Lactococcus lactis and Streptococcus thermophilus, as well as Lactobacillus amylovorus. Metabolic engineering studies of LAB for enhanced production of vitamins, including riboflavin and folate, have also shown promising results. Metabolic engineering has been used to raise the level of folate in L. lactis, L. gasseri, and L. rotari. In addition to the production of bioactive molecules, lactic acid bacteria have great potential as production organisms for several compounds. Some of the compounds have been described earlier. I want to highlight here their application as commodity chemicals. Some compounds are naturally produced by LAB as a result of their diverse metabolic-catabolic properties. While there is an extensive list of chemicals, I want to indicate the uses, the microorganism that produce them, and the substrate use. Lactic acid is by far the chemical mostly produced. Beyond the food applications that we have described, lactic acid is used in cosmetics, bioplastics or PLA manufacturing, and as a solvent. It can be industrially produced by Lactobacillus amylovorus using cornstarch as a substrate. 2,3-butanediol is used as a solvent, a cooling agent, and in fiber production. It can be produced by Lactobacillus deolivorans using crude glycerol plus lignocellulose hydrolysate as substrates. 3-hydroxypropionaldehyde is used as a disinfectant. It is produced by Lactobacillus reuteri when grown in glycerol. 3-hydroxypropionic acid is also produced by Lactobacillus reuteri from glycerol, and it is used in acrylic acid production as well as in plastic production. Additional commodity chemicals can be produced by metabolically engineered lactic acid bacteria. Rational engineering has the potential to optimize processes or to design cell factories for new metabolites. While the ability to genetically manipulate lactic acid bacteria is restricted to a few species, metabolic engineering is finding its way to lactic acid bacteria, bringing new microorganisms and products into the chemical production scene. Some examples are listed in this slide where the microorganism has been genetically manipulated to produce the chemical. Ethanol and 2,3-butanediol used as biofuels can be made by Lactococcus lactis using lactose as a substrate. Butanol is another biofuel and solvent that can be obtained through glucose fermentation using Lactobacillus brevis. Lactobacillus pannis can ferment thin stillage to produce 1,3-propanediol. This chemical is a solvent, a cooling agent, and it is also used in fiber production. The key takeaway points of this lecture are: lactic acid bacteria are GRAS microorganisms that have several advantages over others on their use as cell factories. Lactic acid bacteria can produce several bioactive molecules with important health benefits. Lactic acid bacteria can naturally produce high-value chemicals, and some LABs can be metabolically engineered to produce biofuels.
That was incredible. It really was. Do you want to sit for a minute and rest before you do another one?
Yeah.
The only thing that you cracked me up because it really is such a mouthful and you do it so beautifully. And the only word that stood out to me that I didn't understand because it wasn't on the screen was synonyms. When you were saying the two terms that were used the same, but like in different texts, they would be used.
How you say that?
Synonym, and you said yours came out like synonym.
It's possible that it's wrong.
I think you said it in a way that I've never heard it. However, I think within the context of what you're saying, it's clear because it was clear that you were saying in older text these terms were used to mean the same thing, but later versions they wouldn't be. So I think in terms of context, you're fine. But that's the only thing that I wrote down early, and then I'm like yeah, it's a lot like cinnamon. It is like the spice, but you said sign.
Probably because
Right.
it's not a word that I use all the time.
Because we don't tend to. But like then I was like, but she's also saying she has a sentence with 17 8-syllable words that she says so beautifully. So that was the only thing. And then I wanted to know, in your last on screen at the end, you had a little bit of a longer pause. I think you were waiting for a click.
Yeah.
Does that bother you? Okay.
It's just that it was not clicking, and I
Right.
think it's because I'm pushing it on the side instead
Maybe.
of in the center.
And you were hanging with it, but I didn't know if you wanted to just redo that last on screen because we were doing great on time.
Yeah.
You're doing
If you think it's better to do it, I don't
It's
mind.
completely up to you. I think it looks like you're waiting for something to happen, so that's not the end of the world to
Yeah.
me. It doesn't look like you're lost, but I didn't know if you wanted to redo that one again. But we're not even you got 2 very long things done in less than an hour, and we
Yeah,
started a
but
little
the
bit.
last one is the longest.
Oh
That
boy.
one is. I originally had that in 2 lectures, but then I moved some stuff, and then it didn't make sense to
Gotcha.
break it into. I think I can.
But no, I'm sure you can't. Like you're on a roll today. It's really it's wildly impressive.
Yes, I wish I could pronounce all those words so well.
But
But I'm used to that.
No, you are. But we also
It's
but
familiar to
But
me.
I also feel like we have instructors that come in here with exactly this kind of content, and they struggle to, even though they know it, because they don't necessarily, they know it and they use it, but they don't necessarily say it, and they struggle with it. You don't struggle with it at all. It's really
I
very
think it's, as you said, I think reading the the script, I read it in the morning before coming. I think that really
It's
helps.
usually helpful, sure.
Because when I see mistakes today when I was looking at the script,
You'll catch
and I
them.
saw a lot of mistakes, I was like, well, Tammy's gonna kill me.
Yeah, Tammy's that way. She's very violent when it comes to things like that.
And I was like, oh, no, I'm just gonna do it on the.
Well, but you don't think it is, but it is. When we sit here and watch it, it really is very impressive how well you get through these.
Thank you. Okay. Let's see if we can get this one done.
We can.
So then.
Yep.
I free the rest of your afternoon. Do you have more after this, or you're done?
We don't today, but there is a 3:30 slot as well, so
Oh.
potentially we could.
Well.
Probably my hair is all bad again, or is it up to your taste?
I'll see when he puts you on screen. It's always up to my taste. Yeah, no, this is, don't you feel like you're getting through this?
I'm struggling to keep up submitting lectures. I think I'm struggling with that. But I think Tammy's being really nice. I'm very patient.
Tammy is really nice too. So just like, do you think, I know you don't know, but like, do you think that by next year, some of what you're lecturing will already be out of date?
No, I
Okay.
think this is good for the next
just-
40 years for sure.
Oh, okay. I was just curious.
Well,
because-
I did this like 6 years ago, so a lot changed
Changed
since
a lot.
then. But I don't think it's gonna.
I'm just
shift.
we have a climatologist that comes in and his stuff changes so much that I
No, this is, I would say every 5 years there is enough data, or especially because the regulatory field have changed a lot on these products. Like whatever you see on TV as probiotics, they shouldn't be marketed as probiotics.
There's another course that was taught, I think it was one of the food science courses that she said basically the same thing.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Who's that? Is it Wendy? Is she working?
No, I think it's Dr. An, I think. Dr.
Ah, yeah, it's possible.
I can't think of her.
Well, that is, changing a lot.
Sure. No, I think she said some of the things.
Oh.
All right.
All right. This is the last one. I'm so excited. Energy.
For today,
Yeah, but-
unfortunately.
But your pace isn't slowing down, so good. Keep it.
Yeah, you got it. You're doing
Yeah.
great. And, just so that you're aware.
This is
we'll-
2, right?
Yep, 2 in a row.
No. 2 on screen.
Yeah, 2 on screen slides.
Okay, but it's only one with objectives, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. All righty. Feeling ready to give it a rumble?
Yes.
All right. Then, with that beautiful smile we've seen a couple times already, you can start after 5, 4, 3.
Hi, everybody. In this module, we will review some basic concepts in immunology. The immune system is broadly categorized into 2 main types, the innate and acquired or adaptive immune systems. It is expected that at the end of this module, you will be able to compare and contrast the characteristics of the adaptive and innate immune system, describe the components of the innate immune responses, list the main...
And so is thinking.
I'm already got annoyed with that.
Do you want to keep reading it once before we do it, or do you want to go back? Do you want to finish reading it real quick?
No, just let's go to the beginning.
And just as a note, if ever your clicks are slightly off, we can correct that in post-production.
Okay, so I don't have to worry. I'll just keep going.
Exactly. If you just
Okay.
keep going, we'll fix the clicks. And I can also click back here too and follow along. So
Okay.
I can be that support.
Okay, because I think there is a lot of clicks in
Yeah.
this. Okay.
Yeah. So if you feel off, don't worry about it. Just keep reading and I'll help you with the clicks back here and I can make a note. So, yeah.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So we'll click back. All right. And since you did such a great job with a smile on this one, you get to do it again. And you can start after 5, 4, 3.
Hi, everybody. In this module, we will review some basic concepts in immunology. The immune system is broadly categorized into two main types, the innate and acquired or adaptive immune systems. It is expected that at the end of this module, you will be able to compare and contrast the characteristics of the adaptive and immune systems, describe the components of the innate immune responses, list the main type of cells involved in the adaptive immune system, and to describe the role of toll-like receptors and cytokines. Understanding the general characteristics of the innate and acquired immune system is crucial for several reasons. First, it provides a foundation for comprehending how the body defends itself against pathogens and the mechanisms involved in immune responses. Additionally, insights into the differences between innate and acquired immunity can inform the diagnosis and treatment of various diseases, including autoimmune disorders and allergies, where these systems may be dysregulated. Ultimately, a thorough understanding of both immune systems enhances our ability to design targeted interventions that improve health outcomes and advance medical research. The immune system is a complex network.
We got you the on-screen.
The immune system is a complex network made out of various cells, tissues, and organs that work together. It identifies foreign substances like pathogens and responds by neutralizing or destroying them to protect the body. Immunity is the body's general capacity to defend against specific diseases or infections, providing resistance to potentially harmful microorganisms. Immune responses are divided into nonspecific and specific. Nonspecific immune response are also known as innate, natural, or nonspecific resistance. This type of immune response acts as the body's first line of defense. It provides both resistance for any microbe or foreign substance without targeting a specific pathogen. Importantly, it lacks immunological memory, meaning it does not improve upon repeated exposure to the same agent. A specific immune response, also called acquired, adaptive, or specific immunity, this response targets specific foreign agents and has the ability to remember them. This memory enables a more effective response upon subsequent exposures to the same pathogen, improving resistance over time. The non-specific and specific immune responses often work together to protect the body against infections and other foreign threats. The first line of defense in innate immune responses are physical barriers. These barriers, along with bodily secretions that help flush out microbes, serves as the body's first line of defense against infection. Their effectiveness can be influenced by various factors. Direct factors include aspects such as nutrition, physiology, fever, age, and genetics. Indirect factors involve external conditions like personal hygiene, socioeconomic status, and living environment. Together, these factors determine how well these barriers can protect against pathogens. In the context of physical barriers within the innate immune responses, the gastrointestinal system has several lines of defense. The stomach contains gastric acid that creates a highly acidic environment which helps kill ingested microbes. The intestines use various mechanisms of defense, including pancreatic enzymes, bile, and intestinal enzymes that break down pathogens. It contains Paneth cells. These are specialized cells in the intestine that produce lysozyme, an enzyme that breaks down bacterial cell walls, and cryptins that are antimicrobial peptides that protect against infection. Peristalsis, the muscle constructions in the intestine, also help move and expel microbes. Regular shedding of columnar epithelial cells remove microbes attached to the intestinal lining. The gut-associated lymphoid tissue, also known as GALT, plays a key role in immune surveillance within the intestine. The secretion of secretory IgA, which is an antibody in the gut that helps neutralize pathogens. And last but not least, the normal microbiota. These are beneficial bacteria that compete with pathogens, preventing their colonization. These components work together to form a multi-layered defense system in the gastrointestinal tract. Now, we will start looking at some specific definitions. Antigens are substances recognized by the immune system as foreign. Their presence in the body triggers immune responses, including the activation of B cells, which leads to the production of antibodies. These antibodies specifically bind to the antigens, helping to inactivate or eliminate them. Antigens also activate other immune cells, enhancing the body's defense. The term antigen is derived from antibody generators, reflecting their role in stimulating antibody production. White blood cells, or WBCs, are crucial players in both innate and adaptive immune responses. Their differentiation, known as hematopoiesis, occurs in the bone marrow of mammals. The innate immune cells, like macrophages and dendritic cells, mature in the bone marrow and are ready to respond to a wide variety of antigens immediately. In contrast, adaptive immune cells, such as B and T cells, leave the bone marrow in an immature state. They become fully functional only after encountering specific antigens, allowing them to mount a targeted response as part of the adaptive immune system. Now, we will start describing the main types of cells that are part of the immune system. Leukocytes, also known as white blood cells, are essential for both specific or adaptive and non-specific or innate immune responses. They originate from pluripotent stem cells in the bone marrow, which can differentiate into various types of immune cells. As shown in this cartoon, leukocytes develop along two main lineages. The myeloid lineage gives rise to innate immune cells like macrophages, neutrophils, eosinophils, and dendritic cells, which are involved in non-specific defenses. In the lymphoid lineage, this lineage includes adaptive immune cells, including B cells and T cells, which respond specifically to particular pathogens, as well as natural killer cells, or NK cells, which are involved in both innate and adaptive immunity. This figure summarizes the different types of immune cells with respect to their involvement either on the innate or in the adaptive immune system. Note that gamma delta T cells and natural killer T cells bridge innate and adaptive immune responses. By responding quickly to infections and modulating the immune system, these gamma delta T cells and NK T cells serve as important links between innate and adaptive immunity, enhancing the body's defense mechanisms. Now, we will visit the characteristics of the most important types of cells that constitute the innate and the adaptive system. I will start with neutrophils. Neutrophils are highly phagocytic white blood cells that play a key role in the immune response. They stain at neutral pH and are among the first cells to respond to tissue damage or infection. This type of cells are about 40% of the leukocytes circulating in blood. After circulating in the blood, they migrate to affected tissues where they engulf and destroy invading microbes. Neutrophils kill these microbes using lytic enzymes and reactive oxygen species that are stored in their primary and secondary granules, making them essential for rapid defense against infections. Monocytes and macrophages. Both monocytes and macrophages are highly phagocytic cells and are part of the monocyte macrophage system, which is crucial for engulfing and digesting pathogens. These type of cells are about 6% of the leukocytes circulating in blood. Monocytes are mononuclear phagocytic leukocytes that circulate in the blood. After about 8 hours in circulation, they migrate into tissues and mature into macrophages. Once matured, macrophages reside in specific tissues and are named according to the tissue they inhabit. In example, Kupffer cells in the liver, alveolar macrophages in the lungs. They possess a variety of surface receptors that allow them to recognize and respond to pathogens effectively, playing an important role in both innate and adaptive immune responses. The monocyte macrophage system consists of tissue, in example, tissue within the liver, spleen, and lymph nodes, containing fixed or immobile phagocytes that have specific names depending on their location. As described earlier, monocytes are generated from committed hematopoietic stem cells located in the bone marrow. Macrophage precursors are released into circulation of monocytes and quickly migrate into nearly all tissues of the body where they differentiate into mature macrophages. Various populations of mature tissue macrophages are strategically located throughout the body and perform important immune surveillance activities, including phagocytosis, antigen presentation, and immune suppression. This figure summarizes the main macrophages and the name they acquire upon tissue localization. Some examples are microglia in the brain or Kupffer cells in the liver. Dendritic cells, or DCs, are a crucial component of the immune system, acting as key players in initiating and regulating immune responses. Dendritic cells are found in various tissues, particularly at site of pathogen entry, such as the skin, like Langerhans cells, mucosal surfaces, and lymphoid tissues. They are specialized antigen-presenting cells, or APCs, that bridge the innate and acquired immune system. They are characterized by their ability to capture, process, and present antigens to T cells, a crucial step in activating adaptive immune responses. Upon encountering a pathogen or other foreign substance, dendritic cells engulf the antigen through phagocytosis or endocytosis. They then process the antigen and present fragments of it on their surface using major histocompatibility complex or MHC molecules. This antigen presentation occurs primarily in lymphoid tissues such as lymph nodes, where dendritic cells interact with naive T cells to prime them for a more robust immune response. Lymphocytes are a type of white blood cells that play a central role in the immune system, particularly in the adaptive immune response. They are primarily found in the blood, lymphatic system, and lymphoid tissues such as the spleen and the lymph nodes. These cells represent about 30% of the leukocytes in circulation. Lymphocytes are crucial for recognizing and responding to specific pathogens, infected cells, or abnormal cells like cancer cells. B and T lymphocytes both originate from hematopoietic stem cells in the bone marrow, but they follow distinct differentiation pathways and mature in different locations. Lymphocytes, or B cells, are produced and mature entirely in the bone marrow. Once mature, they circulate in the blood and enter lymphoid organs like the spleen and lymphoid nodes. In response to an infection or a foreign antigen, B cells can differentiate into plasma cells, which produce antibodies to neutralize pathogens. B cells also play a critical role in immune memory, allowing the body to recognize pathogens if they are encountered again. T lymphocytes, or T cells, are also originated from the hematopoietic stem cells in the bone marrow, but they undergo maturation in the thymus. In the thymus, T cells undergo a selection process to ensure they can properly recognize foreign antigens while avoiding attacking the body's own cells, something known as self-tolerance. After maturing, T cells migrate to peripheral tissues and lymphoid organs, where they play a key role in cell-mediated immunity, recognizing and responding to infected or cancerous cells. B or B lymphocytes. These cells are responsible for humoral immunity. They mature in the bone marrow and produce antibodies that bind to antigens, making them no. B cells are responsible for humoral immunity. They mature in the bone marrow and produce antibodies that bind to antigens, marking them for destruction or neutralization. When activated by helper T cells, B cells can differentiate into plasma cells that secrete large amounts of antibodies. B cell activation is a crucial process in the adaptive immune response, enabling the body to generate a targeted antibody-mediated defense against pathogens. The activation of B cells involves several key steps. 1. Antigen recognition. The first step in B cell activation is the recognition of a specific antigen. B cells have unique membrane-bound immunoglobulin receptors, either IgM or IgD, that act as antibodies. When an antigen binds to these receptors, the B cell is triggered to initiate activation. This can occur with antigens from pathogens, vaccines, or other foreign substances. 2. Co-stimulation with helper T cells. Although B cell activation can begin with an antigen binding, full activation typically requires help from CD4 positive T helper cells or Th cells. After the initial antigen recognition, the B cell processes the antigen and presents it on its surface using the major histocompatibility class II molecules. This antigen presentation is recognized by Th cells, which then provide co-stimulatory signals through cytokines and direct cell-to-cell interactions. This helps to fully activate the B cell. 3. Clonal expansion and differentiation. Upon activation, the B cell undergoes clonal expansion, rapidly dividing to produce a large number of identical B cells, all specific to the antigen. These clone cells differentiate into two primary types. Plasma cells. These cells are the antibody-producing factories. They secrete large amounts of antibodies which circulate in the bloodstream to neutralize or eliminate the antigen. And memory B cells, and these are long-lived cells that do not produce antibodies immediately, but are primed to respond more rapidly and efficiently if the same antigen is encountered in the future, providing immunological memory. In summary, B cell activation is a complex process that requires antigen recognition, helper T cell assistance, and clonal expansion. This results in the production of antibodies and memory cells, which are essential for defending against pathogen and establishing long-term immunity. T cells are a crucial component of the adaptive immune system, responsible for recognizing and responding to specific pathogens or infected cells. They originate in the bone marrow but mature in the thymus, where they undergo selection processes to ensure that they can distinguish between self and non-self antigens. Once mature, T cells circulate in blood and are activated when they encounter their specific antigen, typically presented on the surface of other cells by the major histocompatibility complex molecules. There are two main types of T cells, each with distinct roles. One are CD4 positive T helper cells. These cells assist other immune cells in the immune response. They recognize antigens presented by the MHC class II molecules on antigen-presenting cells or APCs. Once activated, they secrete cytokines that help activate B cells, macrophages, and cytotoxic T cells. They are key in orchestrating the immune response and can differentiate into various subtypes, in example Th1, Th2, and Th17, depending on the type of immune response needed. 2 is CD8 positive cytotoxic T cell, shown as T killer in this figure. These cells recognize antigens presented by MHC class I molecules on infected or cancerous cells. Upon activation, they directly kill these target cells by inducing apoptosis, that it means cell death. This is crucial for eliminating intracellular pathogens like viruses or tumors. In addition to this, there are also regulatory T cells, also named Tregs, which help suppress excessive immune responses and maintain immune tolerance, preventing autoimmune diseases. T cells are essential for targeting specific threats in the body and for maintaining long-term immunity. Their precise recognition of antigen and ability to regulate immune responses makes them vital for fighting infection, cancer, and other diseases. Natural killer cells, or NK cells, are a type of innate immune cell that plays a key role in the body's defense against infections and tumors. Unlike T cells, which recognize antigen presentation to recognize and respond to pathogens, NK cells can detect and kill infected.
You've been doing awesomely, but I think if we just want to retake from unlike T cells, because you said which recognize and then antigen presentation to recognize. So I think you just saw recognize instead of require.
Oh,
and I
okay.
said it.
Okay.
So,
Cool.
yeah. But other than that, you've been doing awesome.
Okay.
Truly,
So-
truly amazing. So starting at unlike T
And
cells.
your hair is holding up beautifully.
Okay, I'm done. Unlike T cells, which require antigen presentation to recognize and respond to pathogens, NK cells can detect and kill infected or abnormal cells directly without prior sensitization. They are particularly effective against virus-infected cells and tumor cells. There are two main mechanisms of target cell recognition. NK cells are distinguished by the presence of activating and inhibitory receptors that allow them to recognize stressed, infected, or transformed cells. When they detect abnormal cells, in example those that have a reduced expression of MHC class I molecules, they release cytotoxic molecules such as performin and grandizymes, which induce cell death. NK cells also produce cytokines that help coordinate immune responses. Antibody-dependent cell-mediated cytotoxicity is a mechanism by which natural killer cells enhance the immune response against infected or tumor cells by recognizing and killing these targets that have been found by specific antibodies. In summary, NK cells are the first line of defense, rapidly In summary, NK cells are the first line of defense, rapidly responding to infected or cancerous cells and contributing to the overall immune surveillance. The immune system is composed of primary and secondary lymphoid organs, each with distinct roles in immune function. Primary organs are where immune cells are produced and mature, and these include the bone marrow and thymus. Secondary lymphoid I'm sorry, I'm a bit tired.
No worries.
Secondary lymphoid organs are where immune cells interact with pathogens and initiate immune responses. These include lymph nodes, spleen, mucus-associated lymphoid tissue, or MALT. The primary lymphoid organs are where immune cells are produced and undergo initial maturation. They include the bone marrow, which is the primary site for the production of hematopoietic stem cells, which differentiate into various blood cells, including immune cells like lymphocytes, B cells, and T cells, as well as macrophages, neutrophils, and dendritic cells. In the bone marrow, B cells mature and are then released into the bloodstream. The thymus is where T cells mature after being produced in the bone marrow. In the thymus, T cells undergo positive and negative selection to ensure they can properly recognize antigens and are not reactive to self-antigen, ensuring tolerance and preventing autoimmunity. It is located in the chest just above the heart. Secondary lymphoid organs are where immune responses are initiated. They serve as sites where immune cells encounter pathogens or antigens, leading to activation and proliferation. These organs include lymph nodes, which are distributed throughout the body and act as filtering stations for the lymphatic fluid, which contains immune cells. They are the primary sites for antigen presentation to lymphocytes, either T or B cells, initiating an immune response. Lymph nodes contain specialized regions for B cell activation in the follicles and T cell activations in the paracortex. The spleen filters blood, removing all damaged red blood cells and pathogens. It also plays a key role in immune responses to blood-borne pathogens. The spleen is especially important in mounting immune responses against bacterial infections and blood-borne viruses. Mucosal-associated lymphoid tissue include structures like tonsils, Bayer patches in the intestine, and other lymphoid tissues associated with mucosal surfaces. Bayer patches are found in the small intestine, and they are important for sampling antigens from the gut and initiating immune responses in the mucosal tissues. Tonsils are located on the throat, and they protect against inhaled or ingested pathogens. Phagocytosis is a multi-step process where phagocytes recognize, engulf, digest, and destroy pathogens or debris. It is essential for defending against infections, maintaining tissue homeostasis, and initiating adaptive immune responses by presenting antigens to T cells. The key phagocytic cells are macrophages, neutrophils, and dendritic cells. This cartoon summarizes the general steps of the phagocytosis steps that are 1. Recognition and attachment. Phagocytosis begins when the phagocyte, such as the macrophage, the neutrophil, or the dendritic cell, recognizes a foreign particle or pathogen. I will expand on this on the next slide. 2. Engulfment. Once the pathogen is recognized, the phagocyte extends its plasma membrane around the particle, forming a pseudopodia, which are extensions of the cytoplasm. These pseudopodia encircle the pathogen, eventually fusing to form a phagosome, a vesicle that contains the engulfed material. 3 is the phagosome maturation. The phagosome then undergoes a series of maturation steps. It fuses with lysosomes, which are organelles containing digestive enzymes and toxic molecules such as reactive oxygen species and nitric oxide. This fusion forms a structure called a phagolysosome. 4th is the destruction and digestion. So inside the phagolysosome, the engulfed material is broken down by a combination of acidification, where the pH inside the phagolysosome drops, activating the digestive enzymes. Digestive enzymes like lysozyme, proteases, lipases, and nucleases degrade the pathogen cell wall, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acid. Additionally, toxic compounds such as reactive oxygen species and nitric oxide produced by the phagocyte kill and further break down the pathogen. The last step is exocytosis and antigen presentation in some cases that I will define in a bit. The first step in phagocytosis is the binding of specific microbial components to phagocyte receptors. There are a few mechanisms of recognition. I want to expand on the recognition mediated by pattern recognition receptors, or PRRs, on the surface of the phagocyte, which detect pathogen-associated molecular patterns, or PAMPs. Another name for this is microbial-associated molecular patterns, or MAMPs. PAMPs or MAMPs are molecular structures commonly found on pathogens or microbes such as bacteria, viruses, and fungi. Additionally, the foreign particle may be opsonized by molecules like antibodies or complement proteins, which enhance the phagocyte attachment. This is known as opsonization. However, we will not discuss it here. Toll-like receptors, or TLRs, are a class of pattern recognition receptors found on the surface of various immune cells, including macrophages, dendritic cells, and neutrophils. These receptors play a crucial role in innate immune response by recognizing these PAMs, what are molecular structures commonly found in pathogens, such as bacteria, viruses, and fungi, while DAMs are molecules released by damaged or dying cells. TLRs are transmembrane proteins which have an extracellular domain that recognizes PAMs and a cytoplasmic domain that initiates intracellular signaling. The extracellular domain contains leucine-rich repeats that are critical for recognizing specific microbial molecules. When a TLR binds to a specific PAMs or MAMs, it activates intracellular signaling pathways that trigger the production of pro-inflammatory cytokines, in example, TNF-alpha, IL-1 beta, or IL-6, and type 1 interferons, in example, interferon alpha or interferon beta. These signals help initiate an immune response by activating other immune cells and promoting inflammation. These figures summarize some key features of toll-like receptors. One is the localization. TLRs are present on the cell surface, like TLR1, TLR2, TLR4, TLR5, or TLR6, or in the endosomal membranes, like TLR3, TLR7, TLR8, and TLR9. The location of each TLR determines which type of pathogens or microbial component it recognizes. Surface TLRs typically detect extracellular pathogens, while endosomal TLRs recognize viruses or intracellular pathogens. Some examples of TLRs and their ligands are TLR1 and 2 recognizes bacterial lipoproteins. TLR3 recognizes viral double-stranded RNA or dsRNA. TLR4 recognizes lipopolysaccharides or LPS from gram-negative bacteria. TLR5 recognizes bacterial flagellin. TLR7 and 8 recognizes single-stranded RNA or ssRNA from viruses. And TLR9 recognizes unmethylated CpG DNA, which is found in bacterial and viral genomes. After digestion, the debris from the pathogen is either expelled from the cell through exocytosis or processed for antigen presentation. In antigen-presenting cells like dendritic cells or macrophages, pieces of the pathogen, called the antigens, are loaded onto the major histocompatibility complex, the MHC molecules, and presented on the surface of the phagocyte. These antigens can then be recognized by T cells, contributing to the adaptive immune response. Lastly, I want to define cytokines. A cytokine is a small protein or peptide that is secreted by immune cells and sometimes other types of cells and acts as signaling molecules to regulate the immune response and other physiological processes. Cytokines are essential for coordinating cell-to-cell communication, mediating inflammation, and controlling the activity of various immune cells during an immune response. They play key roles in both the innate and adaptive immune systems. The main roles of the cytokines are they can help activate immune cells such as T cells, B cells, macrophages, and dendritic cells. They promote that. No, I'll do this again. The main roles are immune regulation. Cytokines help activate immune cells such as T cells, B cells, macrophages, and dendritic cells. They promote the response to infections and mediate inflammation. Cell growth and differentiation. Cytokines are involved in regulating the proliferation, differentiation, and survival of immune cells and other cell types. Cell communication. Cytokines help immune cells talk to one another, promoting coordination between different components of the immune system. In this figure are highlighted some of the mechanism of action of cytokines. Cytokines exert their effects by binding to specific cytokine receptors on the surface of target cells, triggering intracellular signaling cascades that lead to changes in gene expression and cell behavior. They can act in a paracrine mode. They can act in a paracrine manner, affecting neighboring cells, in an autocrine manner, acting on the cell that secreted them, or endocrine manner, traveling through the bloodstream to affect distal organs. The type of cytokines are interleukins or ILS, that are a group of cytokines that primarily regulate the activities of leukocytes. For example, IL-1 beta is involved in inflammation, while IL-2 promotes T cell growth. Interferons are cytokines that play a key role on the antiviral response by inhibiting viral replication and modulating immune responses. Interferon alpha and interferon beta are involved in the early response to viral infections, while interferon gamma is important for activating macrophages and promoting the adaptive immune response. Tumor necrosis factor is a cytokine that promotes inflammation and can induce cell death or apoptosis. TNF alpha is a key player in the response to infections and in diseases like rheumatoid arthritis. Chemokines are a subclass of cytokines that specifically regulate the movement or chemotaxis of immune cells to sites of infection or inflammation. For example, IL-8 directs neutrophils to areas of infection. And lastly, growth factors, some cytokines that regulate the growth and differentiation of immune cells. For example, granulocyte colony stimulating factor promotes the production of neutrophils.
So I'm going to pause us. Just as these are the last slides, I just wanted to take a breath because that was great and you really knocked it out. But just to, maybe just like.
Ooh, and while she's doing that, can we scroll back real quick to slide 29? I heard something and I want to see if it matters to you, but I might have heard wrong. It's the very beginning of it, Isaiah. Or somewhere towards
Don't look too closely. It's so bad.
So I think I heard you say on that first click, instead of saying location, I think you said localization.
Oh, it's the same.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Love it. So,
You can use them interchangeably.
I'm gonna.
Mm.
I know, you wouldn't say a 2-syllable word when you can use a 7-syllable word. How do you feel? You did great, and you did good on time too.
yep. And as a reminder, this is 2 slides that are on screen back to back. So keep that amazing smile and energy through both of them. All right. So let me know when you're ready and I will count us in.
Okay, I'm good.
All right, then you can start after 5, 4, 3.
In this lecture, we define the basic components of both the innate and the adaptive immune system. The key takeaway points of this lecture are: the main components of the innate immune system include physical and chemical barriers that prevent pathogen entry, phagocytic cells that engulf and destroy pathogens, pattern recognition receptors of PRRs that are receptors like toll-like receptors on immune cells that recognize pathogen-associated molecular patterns, and inflammatory mediators, cytokines, chemokines, and complement proteins that help coordinate immune responses and inflammation. The main components of the adaptive immune system include lymphocytes, that are B cells that produce antibodies, and T cells, like cytotoxic T cells and helper T cells that mediate targeted immune responses. Antigen-presenting cells are dendritic cells, macrophages, and B cells that process and present antigens to T cells. Antibodies that are immunoglobulins produced by B cells that specifically bind to antigens and neutralize pathogens. Memory cells that are long-lived B and T cells that remember previous encounters with pathogens and respond more quickly upon re-exposure. Okay.
Wowee, that was spectacular.
I'm tired of my feet.
I'm sure.
Understandable. That was very well done.
You feel good? Yeah, I would think. Yeah, that's so beautifully done. So beautifully done.
The worst part is I have to hear myself saying all this.
I know. I know.
Last night I was like going on bed, trying to finish up for Tammy, and I was like, I'm falling asleep.
It's so hard. Oh, it's so hard.
But I was able to catch some stuff.
Good.
Nice.
No, it's.
So, doing something fun for Thanksgiving?
As little as possible. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna.
You're not cooking, making all the
Um,
turkey and
I'm
things?
a
But people like to
vegetarian,
do-
but I